Welcome to Table Talk Friday, our next episode, of course, coming out on a Friday. Hope everyone's doing okay. Zach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm really thankful today because here in the States we just passed Thanksgiving this past week. Had a good time with my family and spending some time catching up with some folks I haven't seen in a while. So great time overall. Drew, how are you doing today?
Live life to the fullest over here. Thanksgiving was awesome. I got full of lots of turkey and the sweet potato pie, all that kind of stuff. Even actually splurged a little bit, got myself a pumpkin roll, which was pretty tasty.
Ooh.
And as it turns out, I'm the only one in my family that likes pumpkin roll, so I ate the entire thing for dinner, breakfast, and lunch. It was great pumpkin roll.
Now, when you say a pumpkin roll, you're talking about like the sponge cake with the cream filling and the swirl in the middle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not even a big pumpkin guy, but pumpkin roll just hits the right spot. I think it's just the cream filling. I think it's cream cheese filling of some sort.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
Yeah, I'm not a huge pumpkin guy either, but I think it was maybe a month ago, my girlfriend Eric actually made me a pumpkin roll, and that was the first one that I'd ever had, and boy, that was delicious.
She made the pumpkin roll?
Yeah, she made a pumpkin roll from scratch. And I'm not sure. I forget the context for that. There was a story to it, but in any case, it was delicious. And so yeah, and that's the only pumpkin roll I've had. So I expect all to be just as delicious.
Speaking of like holiday treats and whatnot, I did have my first carton of eggnog the other day. And it was incredible. I love me some eggnog. I was so excited to see it on the shadow box, and like you walk out of those food lines, and like in the stores they don't have everything where it's supposed to be. Sometimes they have like an end cap where it's like, oh, here's the seasonal stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I just looked over, and was like, and I gasped. I ran over to the eggnog. First of all, most of it was the bad stuff. You can't buy the bad eggnog. You gotta buy the good stuff. I got the Southern Comfort eggnog.
Okay.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof. That's a good one. Have you had the Southern Comfort eggnog?
I'm gonna piss some people off with this statement.
If you say you don't like eggnog, you just shut up right now.
I really don't like eggnog.
Oh my gosh, no. Zach,
but more than that, I don't know which eggnogs are the bad eggnog. So maybe I've just been drinking the bad eggnog this whole time and I didn't realize.
Okay, that might be it. When we do the Christmas one-off this year, if we do it in person, I will bring some eggnog. Now, the Southern Comfort is... We might have to do a whole separate episode on tiers of eggnog in the D&D community. I feel like people would really into that. But I'll give you just a heads up right now. Southern Comfort eggnog, that is S tier eggnog. Now it comes in two variants. You can get the regular or you can get the vanilla spice. Now the vanilla spice, it's really good. It's more of like like a sometimes food. Like it's tasty, but I don't want all the time. It's like cherry Cokes. Right. You got to balance it in with your regular Cokes. So they're both really tasty, but those are definitely S tier. Do not, under any circumstances, buy the Mayola brand. It's a yellow and green. Ugh, we're not going to get sponsored by these people, so I'm just going to rag on it right now. Terrible, terrible eggnog, Zach. Don't buy that one. And if you've bought the pet's like a mid-tier. It's okay eggnog.
You know what? While you've been listing off these names, I've been Google image searching. So pet eggnog is what my family bought growing up.
Yeah, mid-tier.
But I've definitely had the Mayola too, and you're right, that stuff is gross. Southern Comfort does have the most appealing looking box, but I don't think I've ever had that either. So not sponsored by Southern Comfort eggnog, but maybe we could be. Maybe I'll pick some up this holiday season and I'll let you know.
I think I'll take up the role of like the branding manager here. Just give them a shout. You're like, hey, Southern Comfort. We're a D&D podcast, obviously closely tied to the eggnog world. What would it take for us to get some sponsorships? I feel like they may just jump at the opportunity. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if anything, they might send us some free product to test.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, if you don't even have to pay us, Southern Comfort, if you send me some of your maybe good, maybe bad eggnog, I will drink it, and I'll give my honest opinions to our audience here. So your move.
I feel like that's worth it. You just send us one carton, even if it's just one carton of eggnog, right? One carton. At the end of the year, we review it for our Christmas episode, right? Once a year. What is that going to cost them? $4-5, right? I mean, think about all the endless opportunities. We're going to get thousands of people to buy this eggnog, so Realistically, I think they would be stupid not to invest in us.
Truly. And please send me the vanilla spice. I think that sounds delicious. I'm a cherry Coke kind of guy, though.
Oh, are you? I love me some cherry Coke. Oh, but you know what? So you mentioned before what we were snacking versus not snacking on, and the pumpkin spice, obviously the eggnog. What was it? I wanted to ask you. Oh, at Christmas time, which is sort of that time ish now. Do you ever eat the little squares of fruitcake? They come in like a little package, like a little plastic wrap, and it looks like gooey, colorful candy almost. You ever had those?
No, and now I feel like I'm the. This is bizarre to me because I always feel like I usually eat all the foods, but I don't even know what you're talking about.
Really? Okay.
No, I mean I've you know what? I've never even had fruitcake, so maybe I'm not all that
okay.
unique with my palate.
You're not too far out there then, because I will also admit I have not had fruitcake, which is weird because I feel like it's just a very seasonal thing to have, like including like the pumpkin roll and the eggnog and all that. But I don't know what fruitcake tastes like. I don't think I've ever had it. I can't recall ever a time. But I worked for Food Lion for a number of years, and they always sold those little fruitcake. I don't know how to better to describe them. They're like a little rectangle. It literally is like the size of maybe your hand, a little bit more, and it's just this small brick of fruitcake. It looks absolutely horrid. Like I don't want to put it in my mouth, but I feel like I have to try it just because it's a fruitcake, you know? I don't know.
Sure, I mean it's like a figgy pudding, right?
I've never had figgy pudding.
All right, well I have had figgy pudding, and it's okay, but it's definitely the hype is 100% because of that one Christmas song that I'm forgetting. We wish you a Merry Christmas, of course. So
Christmas classic.
Yeah, it's just like I mean it's not like Jell-O pudding. It's a hard bread type pudding, and yeah, it's like semi-sweet,
hard
but not really.
Bread pudding.
Well, yeah, it's like it's bready. It's not like Jell-O. It's like I can't even describe it. It's like a moist pastry, basically.
I mean,
but
I
you
like
eat
the
it out
moist
of like
pastry, but you made it sound like there was bread. I don't want bread in my pudding. That sounds really weird.
Well, it's not really the consistency of pudding. It's like a soft bread that you eat with a spoon.
Ugh, that sounds terrible.
Well, yeah, it's not for everyone. I mean, look it up. It's actually not all that bad, but definitely not a staple in my household, at least.
Okay, so we got to try fruitcake, and I have to try figgy pudding. Have you now rice pudding? I don't think it is a Christmas or seasonal dish, as far as I'm concerned. Have you had rice pudding?
I have had rice pudding, and I quite like. I mean, well, I won't say I like rice pudding, but I've never been turned off by rice pudding.
It's sort of weird. Like I've had two different brands, right? And so I had the second brand just recently. So a long time ago, this is not a frequent treat for me. I've literally had this once or twice in my life. And so I had this old rice pudding, and it was pretty tasty. It tasted to me like regular pudding, but a little ricey, I suppose. It was
yeah,
it was
it's just
tasty.
got that nice little grain, that texture, which if anything, I feel like you would be valid to be off put by the texture of rice pudding, but I think it's all right.
Well, that's where I'm going with this though, because the more recent brand I had, I can't remember what it was. It was yellow and orange. I have to double check. And when you eat it, it is exactly what you expect from rice pudding. And I mean this in a terrible, horrid way. You put it in your mouth. It's like you just scooped up a big spoon of rice with pudding on top of it. It was weird. It was like they actually made it. Yes, it was like they actually made the regular pudding and then just stirred in a bunch of cooked rice. Like it was, you could taste like the granules of the rice. It was terrible. Oh my gosh.
That's
weird. So weird. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find out what it was. I'm gonna make you try it. everyone else in my house was like, "Oh yeah, it's totally good." Like, no, it is absolutely not. It tastes terrible. Oh.
Yeah, I could probably go either way. So let me know which brand, and maybe all right. So now that we've had this conversation, maybe we'll actually have to do a follow up, so everyone knows our thoughts on You said it was a yellow and orange package?
Yeah, it's like yellow orange. I'm sure if I go to the local grocery store, I bet I could find it. So I'll have to do some
Okay.
research for the episode. But I think you're right though. We might have to do a whole podcast episode just on like, oh, which desserts should you have in your D&D game? We find out for you, and then we just taste test all the foods, and they're just all terrible. We say you shouldn't put any of these in there except eggnog.
Yeah, well, not to get everyone excited about episodes that may or may not happen, but I know they have the official D&D cookbooks, right? Heroes Feast, where they've got the like different recipes for.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's Forgotten Realms specific or just more generically fantasy, but I'd mess around with some of those.
I think you can actually cook them, right? I think
own any of
they're
them.
real, like actual edible foods, right? It's not a joke.
Yeah, they are. It's like a real ass cookbook.
Real ass cookbook. You heard it here first, boys. I'm pretty sure that's the slogan, the motto behind the book. Good ass eats.
The first book that teaches you how to cook ass.
Oh. Mm-hmm. So we should have brought that up in our Smash or Pass episode, Zach.
Heroes Feast, Smash or Pass.
On that note, I think that concludes our opener conversation of Christmas foods. Welcome everyone again to Table Talk Friday. I think we should probably jump into our actual topic for today, which Zach and I were just discussing what we should bring up today, and we were thinking a good idea might be party comp. And when we say party comp, we mean what would actually be a really good or ideal, maybe a dream team composition for your party, right? Do you want all fighters? Do you want all bards, as the legends say? I don't know. We might have to find out today. So, Zach, where do we want to start on party comp? Do we want to go to the definite no's, maybe some definite yeses, or maybe some in-betweens?
Well, yeah, so I think there are a lot of different ways to think about party comp. And just for, I feel like just speaking in general, the conventional wisdom will tell you that your adventuring party should have a little bit of everything, right? So if you just look at other fantasy games that have classes, you'll probably run into these archetypes. You'll want the fighter, the mage, whatever generic mage, the thief, so rogue, and then some other thing sometimes. So sometimes you'll have the cleric or like a healer, but it's not mandatory. I feel like fighter, mage, thief are sort of like the main three. For D&D, I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that for sure. I mean, it's not a bad idea to look for, all right, we want to make sure that we hit these different categories, but it also, it's not just dependent on, all right, well, we need a healer because we need healing. It's also, all right, well, what kind of game are we in, right? Because different classes might be better suited for different adventures. So, with that being said, just generally speaking, for any D&D game, I think the best party comp is the one that you and your fellow players like, for sure. But speaking as a DM, I really do. It does upset me if no one takes any magic. So personally, I feel like you want to have at least the one person who can do. You want a melee fighter. Mm-hmm. You want someone who can cast spells, and then you want maybe an expert or at least someone who can heal. So when I say an expert, I'm talking about like the bard, the rogue, those characters who are better at outside of combat skill checks sort of things. Mm-hmm. So
okay, no, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Definitely a good design, like a good prototype to the party. I feel like you have to have. Now, I guess we've had parties that didn't have, like a dedicated healer, right? But I feel like you need to start with someone that can heal in some way. Like you have to look at your party. If no one can heal, something needs to change, right? I think that's definitely a starting point, right? So you get like a ranger, maybe a druid or a cleric. Probably is one of your options there. I would definitely always prefer a cleric just because it's my favorite class to play. I think there's a lot of different ways you could flavor them, and I don't need to give my whole spiel on clerics. I've done it before, but I think they're pretty ideal and probably a staple in any party. I don't think anyone would be like, oh no, there's a cleric here. Like everyone's gonna be excited that they have a support cleric and someone that can actually heal really well, right? Because the ranger can heal a little bit, like the artificer can heal a little bit, unless of course you're Oswin, you can heal a whole ton. But I feel like the cleric is definitely one of the four you want. I don't even care which cleric it is. It could be a Tempest cleric, it could be like a War Domain, it could be whatever you want. Because all of them have some kick-ass healing spells in their kit that they just get without having to do any extra work. So I feel like a cleric is a definite one of the four. Funny enough, I don't think have we had a cleric in our party before?
Well, yeah. So that's the funny thing. You say that a cleric's mandatory, but in all of our adventures that we've been on together, at least, we haven't had a dedicated cleric. I think the closest we had was Morwyn, who was a Divine Soul Sorcerer Paladin, who also, as virtue or by virtue of being a Divine Soul Sorcerer, he did get access to the cleric spell list. But he really wasn't a cleric, he was mostly a paladin, kind of a sorcerer. But yeah, and we made it by just fine there. But we also had healing locked down from Beryl, our bard, as well. So
that is true. And he, funny enough, he wasn't even mostly. I always thought he was mostly bard, but he was mostly warlock toward the end, I think.
Yeah, he started by going 5 levels into bard, and then the rest of the way he went warlock.
I don't think there's any healing. Now, I'm not familiar with warlocks. It's still the only class I have not played in D&D after so many years. I don't think they have any healing abilities, right?
No, just the Celestial Warlock does.
Gotcha.
And theirs is actually pretty cool. I think it's like a ranged lay on hands, basically, where they get like a pool of dice that they can heal from.
Oh, okay. Kind of like is it kind of like the Dream Druid, or I think it's called the Circle of Dreams or something, where they get what is it, D6s? They can hand out like 2 of them for a bonus action or something like that.
You know what? I think it's exactly like that.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I love that. I still loved playing the Circle of Dreams. I played it one time and it was just a fantastic. Honestly, I would say maybe even the Circle of Dreams Druid would be up there as far as that fourth or that first slot for healing. But yeah, no, definitely paladins. Definitely take paladins into account in the Divine Soul Sorcerers. They're all really good healers. But I feel like also when we say mage, right? Because you mentioned mage as being one of the primary spots, I would almost want like a full-fledged sorcerer or like a wizard in there, I don't know if maybe they would overlap, which is good. I mean, but how much overlap do we want for an ideal party,
No, I agree. And every time we play without a wizard, I definitely, you feel that absence for sure. Like our first campaign we played together, we did have a wizard, but he was a newer player, so it was definitely like playing without one,
You're terrible, Zach.
But it's just the utility that the wizard brings, right? They've got a whole bunch of spells to get you out of situations, and so we had to be very creative with Dimension Door and Fireball being our only spells. So,
which are good spells. To be fair, they are very good magical wizard spells that I want on my party. But no, I completely agree. If we don't have a wizard, I would feel it. And in the next game, I think we already have a wizard locked in for our next campaign, as we had like a session 0 discussion not too long ago. And I'm obviously the wizard for this one, so I feel like having the wizard is important. But I did feel the absence of a rogue in this campaign that we're in now. This being our second out of 3, right? Because I was the rogue in the first one, and I felt like, there was a lot of opportunities for me to do some scouting, to do some stealth, and of course our bard warlock was also very stealthy. We had like stealth competitions back then, right? But I feel like not having a rogue in Descent into Avernus was definitely, interesting. Like there were plenty of times where I thought, oh man, I sure wish we had a rogue on our team right now because it would be handy. So I wonder if a rogue is going to be one of those definite slots, because you mentioned it. I honestly didn't expect you to say rogue, but they are very utility based, and I would love to have one in our next campaign. Do we feel like that's definite?
I don't think you definitely need a rogue, but you do need someone who's good at solving problems, right? And so I think there are a lot of different ways that you can go about making a character that sort of fits that archetype. And so, if I had built Oswin a little bit differently, or really just played him a little bit differently as an artificer, I think, that is a class that can definitely fill the rogue slot. They get expertise in tools, so they're great with thieves' tools. If I invested a little bit in stealth, and it started casting invisibility and things like that, you could definitely make an artificer fit that slot. But I think what's more important is just having a character who's they've got that utility belt, right? Where you can go back to it and say, all right, we have to pick a lock, we have to distract somebody, we have to come up with a solution that isn't kill the guy. You want that kind of character in your party, and that doesn't even have to be a rogue. It could be even a wizard, right? I mean, we just mentioned the wizard has so many good solutions in their tool belt, right? The right wizard could be just as valuable.
That is fair.
So I think the rogue is definitely, like, the rogue archetype is something that you want on your party, but it could come in any shape or size, right? And so, I mean, I guess if I were to discuss, like, what I think the ideal party comp is, you have to have characters who are good at multiple things, is sort of my thing. I like, if I were to make my ideal party, it'd probably be all half-casters. Like,
really?
well, yeah, we've got a paladin, we've got a ranger, we've got an artificer, and then maybe one full caster, right? Because you want those higher level spells too. So like either a cleric or a druid or a wizard probably to shore it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty nuts, and I was gonna challenge you right there. I feel like you have to have a full caster. Like, if you do not have a full, what it could be any of the full. It could be the sorcerer, it could be druid, cleric, and so forth. You gotta have at least one, I think, in your party. We happen to have two in our party, sort of, because I multi-classed, but and I think it actually worked out really well. I think we bounce off of each other being two mages. But I feel like you gotta have at least one. All half casters, I think, would be great for utility, and I think you'd have a whole lot of jack of all trades. But I feel like you'd be missing out when you don't get those 6th, 7th, 8th level spells.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and so really, there's no one perfect party, right? And you could even make shit happen with even like a party of all one class, right? So it is subjective for sure. But I really think the half casters just don't get enough love, right? And
no, I
even
agree.
more than just picking your class, it really depends on what you do with it, right? Because you can have a paladin, for instance, who's more of like a tank, but you could also have them be more of like a support character, like Morwen was, for instance, where he was, hanging back and buffing people, and come stand in my aura to get protection. But he wasn't going to be up on the front lines necessarily because he was, he had really low constitution, really low strength. So he was a squishy paladin for sure.
I feel like paladin is up there, right? If you're gonna pick one of those. Well, maybe not, because I mean the half-caster is really nice to have those spells and obviously the damage output. I would almost classify the paladin as one of those like utility slots, but I don't know if they're as helpful as maybe like a rogue or a ranger. Just having some like the stealth mechanics, the dexterity. I don't know, because I feel like you need a dexterity character, but then even artificer's not, because that's intelligence.
Yeah, that is a good point. I mean, you could have high dex on an artificer, but you would want at least like one character who gets the drop on people, right?
Yeah.
You want that initiative, and stealth is nice, right?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna agree. We definitely need this utility. I just don't know, because I agree that artificer is there, but it almost hurts me to say because they don't have the dexterity that I would want someone. I want someone to have like that evasion, that stealth, that quick movement with their hands, right? Be able to steal something really quick, upscale a wall. Even a monk, I think, would possibly fill that slot. Maybe not as well as a ranger or a rogue, but at least has that dexterity there. Yeah, no, I think that would be fine. Definitely an expert character, 100%. As far as what do we think the best healer would be? I know we mentioned we talked about healers before. I don't think we really came to a conclusion. Which, if we're building this perfect party comp, right? We have some sort of expert, which I think is an okay to narrow it down to, because I think any of those are a perfectly good option, right? What about this healer? Are we thinking Divine Soul Sorcerer? Are we thinking Cleric? Are we thinking, Paladin? They're gonna kind of hit a bunch of roles there. What are we feeling?
I don't think that you need. So here's gonna be my hot take. Healing is a useful function to have on a character, right? So you don't want to have no way to possibly heal, but in the middle of combat, I think healing's a little overrated, right? As long as you've got someone who can get you up if you drop down to 0. That's pretty much all the healing that's required. So, you can look at the cleric or like the life domain specifically and say, oh yeah, that's going to get us the most healing. That's going to be the best cleric. But really, I don't think that's necessary because everyone can heal when you're outside of combat, right? So, or, at least, everyone can take their short rest, or any cleric has enough spells to get you back up. So I don't think the healer option you necessarily need to judge by how much they're capable of healing. If you want like someone who's really good at that, probably a cleric, or like you were saying, the Circle of Dreams druid is a good option, or really any druid. Even Circle of Wildfire, I'm pretty sure, has some cool healing features. So
I do like their
good
features. Options
there. But honestly, if you want like the ideal healer, I'd probably just say my only stipulation is they have to have access to Healing Word, and anything else you can, wing it from there.
I don't know. That is sort of a hot take, because I feel like you have to have. When I say you have to have a healer, I feel like you got to have like more than one healing spell, right? But maybe if I were to narrow down my thoughts here, I would say I want 2 people that can heal, period. Right? Even if they both have Healing Word.
I think that's fair.
Or even a magical item that does it, right? Because my idea is if the one healer goes down, that's detrimental, right? That's a huge crutch. If you get one intelligent, lich or like an archmage of some sort that wants to take you guys down, he's going to take your healer down first, and then that's it. Your party's done, right? Because then if any healing needs to be done, if anything unexpected hits you and you're down, you're screwed, right? So I like that in our party we have 3-4 people that can heal, which is great.
Do we?
Well, I can heal, you can heal, Stein can heal, Varys can heal.
Oh, yeah. I was forgetting about the fact that you have aid. As a sorcerer.
It was a domain spell. Funny enough, I love it. Love having that. It's been real helpful. But yeah, so I guess as long as 2 people have healing spells, I'm okay with any class doing it, even if it's not like a full-fledged cleric, which I still think would be ideal. But I think I'm cool with that. So as long as you have like a paladin or like anything else that can cast Cure Wounds or healing Word, I think that'd be perfectly fine.
Yeah, I think you make a good point, and I think our party is a good example of a group where you don't really have like the dedicated healer, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because we do have Oswin, and he's all artificer, but he really makes up most of the healing due to his spell storing item that I always just fill with aid, so I can cast aid 10 times, which is a ridiculous feature, by the way. Really bold that they let you do that.
But it's fantastic, and it's saved us a number of times.
Oh, absolutely. But none of Oswin's features are really that heavily leaning into the whole healing thing. At least, especially in early levels, it wasn't. So regardless, we were able to make do just with a Cure Wounds here or there. And then Varys, our Way of Mercy monk, had Healing Hands, which I think he used maybe once. So
I'm sure he used it once, probably.
Yeah, in any case, he did use it at least once to get me up in the middle of combat. I know that. So so that was helpful. And then and now we finally have Arafras, who is technically capable of casting healing as well, though I've never seen him do it.
Oh yeah.
Regardless, just between really Oswin and Pyth with aid, we're able to keep the whole party more or less healthy, right?
Yeah, no, I think you're completely right. So maybe we take the healing class out of this. I would still love to have a dedicated healer. I think that's a great component, right? But you don't need it per se. I don't think it's one of the necessities. So let's backtrack. So we have an expert for sure, and then of the people we choose remaining, I think 2 of them need to have at least a minor healing spell, whether it be Healing Word, Cure Wounds, Aid, something like that, right? Mass Cure Wounds obviously is better. It would be a great option, but that's a little more up there. So
right, I mean, even the expert could be the healer too, if they're a bard or they're an artificer, or a ranger.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, any of those, they also have like an option for healing, right? So definitely good to have that in that character's tool belt. But it's definitely not a requirement. So We agree, though, you want an expert, really someone who's capable of doing a lot of problem solving outside of combat or in the middle of combat, depending. You want someone with healing. It doesn't matter who necessarily, but probably at least two. I agree. I think having multiple sources of healing is important, especially just if for anything else or not for anything else. You just don't want to force someone to be the heal bot on the party, you know?
Yeah.
Because while it may make them feel like, well, yeah, I really am contributing, they don't get the chance to be the hero, you know? And you want everyone to have that in them, right? So they can seize their moments of heroism when they want to.
No, I think it's completely fair.
With that in mind, I think we both agree you do need, or you should have, a full caster of some kind. So... someone who's really focused on getting those higher level spells. So, a wizard or a cleric or a druid, a bard, sorcerer, any of those are great options. Even warlock. I know they don't get 9th level spell slots, but they do get access to the higher level spells still. So definitely warlock falls into that category.
I might even argue out a warlock, to be honest. Maybe that's a hot take, because I still haven't played a warlock, still haven't played one. But I don't know if they're just classified as full casters there. I mean, don't think they have the utility of the wizard. I don't think they have the strength of the meta magic sorcerers, right? I don't think they have the healing of the cleric. I think they're more of like a jack of all trades, which is kind of what we're covering with the expert class, especially if there's some sort of half caster like a ranger or a artificer or a paladin of some sort. I don't know if the warlock is necessarily up there for me even being on the team. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't want a warlock on the team. I'm not saying that at all. Warlocks are definitely strong in their own rights, and they have their buffs and their invocations, all these kind of things. But I don't know if in ideal party I have a warlock in my brain. I feel like that might be one of the ones that I cut out. I mean, is that sort of a hot take there, Zach, or?
Well, I know there are a lot of warlock players out there who would definitely disagree with you. But I think that's fair. The warlock doesn't necessarily fill the full caster archetype in my mind either. But they do fill the next thing, which I think every party needs to have, and that's DPS. Someone who does the most damage. And so with that in mind, I think a warlock fits into that role perfectly, right? You can really make some high-powered characters either just going straight warlock or multi-classing into warlock. So definitely I think that's where they shine, is in that class. And so to fill like the DPS role, again, really anyone can do this. A rogue would be a great DPS character for sure. But in my mind, the main contenders here are like the fighter, the barbarian, the paladin, and then even something like the warlock, right, where they get access to Eldritch Blast and all of their shenanigans.
Yeah, no, I mean, they definitely do some damage, but when I think of, doing damage, right, really getting the hit points down on the enemy, I'm thinking definitely, I mean, you mentioned it yourself, the fighter before, right? The fighter is kind of like a staple. The fighter or the barbarian, I think, are pretty interchangeable, while the
Agreed.
fighter's a little more of like an expert, I would say, having a couple more options, and the barbarian is just a sack of hit points. But I think either one of those, I think you have to have one of those. I think if you don't have a barbarian or a fighter, you're kind of missing out a little bit. I mean, I think a monk might be able to contribute a little bit there, right? They could definitely take up the DPS role, but I just don't know if they're going to fare as well as barbarian or fighters. I would have to say a staple would be one of those two. I mean, do we agree or no?
Well, I'm trying to think back. I'm not sure if there's ever been a party that I've been in that didn't have a fighter or a barbarian at one point. But you know what? There have been parties that we have been in that lost their fighter or barbarian though, and we went on. Like in Storm Kings, for instance, we had a fighter at the start, and then that player dropped out, and we were still fine with our squishy paladin and really our warlock sort of taking up the DPS for the group. So
that's true. We had a lot of damage output back in Storm Kings, didn't we? Oh.
Yeah. I don't know how. We really weren't trying to well, you know what? I do know how, actually. Seth gave us a lot of really good magic items.
Oh yeah, those vestiges. Oh, they were so strong. All right.
But yeah, so it can be done, but I agree. I feel like either fighter or barbarian are definitely up there. I think in my personal opinion, though, if we want to pick like the best DPS class, it's probably paladin, right? And that's specifically because of Divine Smite and the fact that they have the ability to go Nova, quote unquote, and just release all that damage all at once. I think the new version of the paladin though won't be filling that role, so maybe they'll have to step aside for, I don't know, fighters probably.
Yeah, so I guess this discussion, for everyone out there, this doesn't include anything in one D&D. We're going to talk about just basic 5e here. So not including any of the new stuff. I think I would agree that as one of the main damage dealers, right, you're going to have either a barbarian, a fighter, or a paladin. I think that's a staple. Definitely an expert, like we discussed. Definitely a full caster of some sorts, which I don't think we came to a conclusion of which one. And then
it could be any, but if you want to be generic, pick the wizard. But really, any of them, sorcerer, cleric, druid, bard, they're all valid.
Okay, I think I would agree. So one of those three, definitely an expert, full caster. And what about this fourth slot? I know we mentioned before a thief, but I feel like the rogue also kind of fills that expert slot. What would be a good additional? Do we want to double up on mages here? Do we want another kind of half caster expert? Would it be great to have an extra DPS? I'm not sure where we want to go with that.
Well, yeah. So it really depends. But in my mind, so we've already shorn up all of the different areas that we really need, right? We've got a caster to deal with, not only solving problems, but also, fighting enemy casters, and, you've got that counterspell locked down. We've got DPS to, they're going to be doing the most damage and really helping out in combat. We've got the expert who sort of helps us outside of combat a little bit more. I feel like for this last slot, I would pick probably a tank, right? So you want someone capable of receiving the most damage or mitigating damage in combat so that the squishies aren't getting hurt, right? So DPS could be the tank, right? A barbarian obviously is the best choice for soaking up damage, right? But then you've got other options like warlock or a ranged fighter or a ranger or someone who's maybe not so good at eating up those attacks. And so I definitely think you want a tank to complement the DPS, right?
Okay.
And so in my mind, again, it comes back to barbarian, paladin, maybe even an artificer or a cleric, someone who's there to eat the most hits and let the DPS really do their thing.
I think I would agree. I think I too often think about the main damage dealer is also the tank, but that's not necessarily true. They could be very squishy and be able to deal a ton of damage. So I guess fixing my mindset on that, I agree. So definitely pick for the DPS, either the paladin, the barbarian, or the fighter. But then maybe even double up, pick another one, or add in like a cleric or something really really tanky there that might be able to double up. I think that's a good idea. So tank, damage, expert, full caster. And I thought we were honestly going to get a little more specific than this, but I mean, just talking about it, there are a lot of different options. We've played with multiple different variations of parties. We've lost people. We've added people in. And you can make it work. We've definitely had some unconventional parties before, including our one-off where we were all bards from rock bands and whatnot. That was a blast. But we made it work,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I guess as long as you're able to follow those, these basic guidelines, right, you're going to have a pretty solid party comp. And of course, it depends probably on subclasses as well. But I think that might be another day. I don't think we need to jump into all the different perfect, ideal subclasses to take in each of these different classes. So
no, definitely not. Now let me ask you. That's our non-specific optimized list, right? So if for all you new players out there using this episode for D&D advice, that's what we've got for you. But at the same time, though, none of that matters, and you can make D&D work with any party comp. So don't feel like you're beholden to that at all. But just for fun, Drew, what would your ideal party be? Class specific.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to start with the casters. I feel like you have to have a wizard in the party. So I think there's just too much utility. There's too many options of damage output. There's too many magical options and solutions they bring to the table not to have one. So I think 1 of 4, you definitely got to have a wizard, right?
Not surprising, coming from the party wizard.
Yeah, you shut up. You shut up right there. Definitely wizard. I think a sorcerer could contend that, just based on how much buffing they can do to their own spells, but I don't think the amount of spells is necessarily matched. If for a perfect ideal party, just coming from my opinion anyway. So I think wizard for sure.
Okay.
If we're gonna go expert, let's jump expert for a sec. Let's go right to the front lines. I think a barbarian is optimal. They are crazy damage, crazy tank. They kind of cover both of those roles there, right?
Agreed. Yep.
I just don't think you could beat it. Right? I think they are just too strong not to have on your party. If you're going perfect ideal comp, so barbarian, wizard, and then that leaves us 2 more slots. If we're going to 4, not 5, which I think 4 is a good size. We personally have 5 in our party right now, and I think we're a little overpowered, to be perfectly honest with you. I think it's a little OP.
We're fighting lots of overpowered monsters too, so it balances out.
No, that's true. That's true. Okay, so wizard, barbarian, and when we get to our expert, I said I want 2 people that heal is the problem. Oh gosh, maybe. See now I feel like I'm contradicting myself because I want a cleric so bad. I feel like I'm biased. But then we have 2 full casters.
Well, put a cleric in there. That could be your. I mean, honestly, a cleric could be your expert too. But you could even have them. They'll take up your tank slot, or DPS if you want to go like a Tempest cleric, and then and then your barb will be the other one.
Okay, I think it's what we do. I think we do wizard and cleric. So those are 2 full casters, but the cleric could take up a lot of roles. Even the wizard could take a bunch of different roles. You can go like abjuration, get some extra tankiness there, or you can take something like evocation for some more damage. So let's just go general wizard and cleric, right? And the barbarian. That we definitely don't need any more hit points at that point. The cleric and the barbarian got it covered. And for the last slot, we have to fill. I want to say we have to have someone else that can heal in some way, right? And most wizards and barbarians can heal. But we're still looking for that expert slot. And so I want to say rogue, but for healing purposes, I think I might say ranger. I might go barbarian, ranger, wizard, cleric.
I think that's a great party.
I think that is for me a perfect party. Now there's a million ways you could break it down, but I think I'm gonna stick it. I'm clicking the red button. Deal. Howie is accepting my deal right now. He's talking to the banker. This is the final shot.
And scene. I think that's a great party comp. Listening to you talk through that, I think I've got my list locked and loaded as well.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say I agree with wizard. I do think that you should probably have a wizard on the party.
Okay.
I'm not so much of a snob. You could replace it with a sorcerer if you want. Really, whatever floats your boat. But I'm gonna go with wizard for sure.
Okay. I'm on.
And then locking in that DPS role, paladin, of course. You have to have a paladin.
No, I get it.
And really, the paladin also serves the face of the party role too. I mean, they don't have to be, but they've got high charisma, so they're good in those social situations too.
Oh, I didn't even take charisma into account. Shoot. Oh gosh. All right. I won't cut you off. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, that might be the only place that your party's lacking. But in any case, I'm saying wizard, paladin. We'll throw in the tank role.
Oof. What you got?
I think. So I'm of 2 minds. I'd love the idea of throwing a cleric in here and just have a really holy party. But you know what? I think, and we didn't even mention this as an option, but I'm gonna throw you a curveball.
Okay.
We're gonna put in a druid as my tank.
Ooh.
And I'll tell you why. It's just that wild shape, right?
Okay.
So they're soaking up hit points. They're healing too. We're gonna go wizard, paladin, druid, and then rogue for my expert. Since we've already got healing locked up, I feel like the extra DPS that they're offering and just the general, we need someone who's good at dexterity. So that's gonna be my pick.
Wow. Okay. So both of us picked 2 full casters in our parties. That's pretty crazy,
Yes.
I think. I think that's pretty unusual, no? Do you think other people do that? I don't know.
I mean, probably. People love spellcasters. I mean, we're also. This is me thinking more from like a DM perspective, right? So you want to have like a fun variety for sure. And wizards are just fun to work around, right? Because they've got their spells, and they're always coming up with things that you didn't think of, right? And then you have to say, okay, I guess you can do that.
Okay. All right. I think there's some solid party comps here. I feel like we might have some people comment and say that they're terrible parties and have their own ideas. And honestly, I'm interested to see what Seth's class-specific party is. Out of curiosity, we'll have to get him to do it. Maybe next week on the post show, perhaps we'll get some exclusive content there. And speaking of, if you happen to have a slot for a fifth player, I would definitely bring in Good Old Gamer. Actually, Good Old Gamer is he's actually from the Patreon class, and if you bring him into your party, he actually gives you exclusive access to some Patreon content, such as early access things, post-show content, even the opportunity to hang out with us and play some D&D games. So, I think there's definitely room at any party for a Good Old Gamer in that fifth slot. So feel free to stop on by at patreon.com/TableTalk Friday to speak with Good Old Gamer, as well as some of our other lovely patrons that are hanging out with us and building a good community. As well as also check out some of our social medias. We're on the Instagram. We're on the Twitter/X, whatever you'd like to call it. We're on the Facebooks. We're on it all. So come check us out and take a peek at some of the upcoming things we got on there.
Thank you so much for supporting the show, Good Old Gamer. We really do appreciate it. We're getting close to the end of this episode, but I would be remiss if I didn't bring up species or race or whatever you want to call it. So Drew, and this is really just one dungeon master to another. Are there any races that you really don't like that show up in at your table, or are like what's your ideal situation for that?
Oh gosh. I hadn't really thought about races as part of like the perfect party comp per se, and I don't think there's any races that I think of that I don't want at the table for like power reasons. I don't think any of them are extremely OP or anything like that. I think they're okayishly balanced, right?
Sure.
I'm gonna be honest. I just don't like shifters. It has nothing to do with power. It has nothing to do with anything. Just my personal opinion. I think they're weird. I don't get along with them. I feel like if you want to do a shapeshifter thing, you could do like the changeling kind of a vibe. But shifters just feel weird to me. I don't know what it is. It's just it's a feeling. It's a gut feeling. It's one of those things. You ever see someone and like before they open your, let's say you're meeting somebody, right? You're at like a party or something, and they're like, oh hey, meet this person, and you walk up, you look them in the eyes, like I don't like you. Like that's the vibe I get when I think of shifters. I can't tell you why. Every other class perfectly up for grabs. I would never restrict anybody from a class unless of course it's for a specific reason, right? Like at Christmas one-off last year, I said you could pick any race. We have to like flavor it to a Christmas thing. So some people did like Christmas trees, and some people did polar bears and all that kind of stuff. But
which was a shifter, just by the way, Coca, of course. So
no, it was a polar bear.
I will not accept this slander. Except that I agree. I don't really like shifters either. But that was a fun character. No, I feel like the sort of my opinion on race is you just play whatever. So unless you're doing like a horror campaign. I'd say you probably want to have someone who has dark vision at least. But if you are doing a horror campaign, I think it's better if no one has dark vision, because that really would amp up like the DM's ability to spook the crap out of your players.
Oh, I hate that. Why would you say that? We can't let Seth listen to this. don't let him listen to this episode. Oh.
Yeah, next time I'm gonna drop hints, right? Oh, Drew, I think you'd be a great plasmoid, which I think don't have dark vision, right?
Oh no, I don't think they do.
Oh, they actually do.
Do they?
Damn.
Oh heck yeah, that's what I'm talking. I can't imagine how a plasmoid has dark vision, but whatever. Oh, maybe it's because
they don't even have eyes, so I feel like it makes sense.
Yeah, no, I guess that's. But you were really I hadn't even thought about the ability for dark vision. You were really thinking into this perfect party comp.
Well, yeah, I mean that always comes up, right? And honestly, if we want to talk about like what's the most optimal party comp, I'd just say everyone gets dark vision, right?
Yeah.
So we'll throw in a dwarf, an elf, and then 2 other things with dark vision probably would be ideal for sure. But I'm not really interested in min-maxing which race would be best for which class or anything. But yeah, that's I was just curious if you had any thoughts.
Well,
but yeah, definitely dark vision I think is important.
Without jumping into it too deep, I mean, you said elf. I do think elf or a warforged would be at least one, right? Would be ideal on your party for the purposes of they only have to rest for 4 hours or 0 hours and are able to make perception checks throughout the night. So,
please, the warforged has to spend 6 hours resting.
Yeah, but their resting is just like a downtime. I'm pretty sure they aren't they alert while they do it?
I've actually I pulled it up after you said warforged. Let's see.
I think
so. When you take a long
aware.
rest, you must spend at least 6 hours in an inactive, motionless state rather than sleeping. In this state, you appear inert, but it doesn't render you unconscious, and you can see and hear as normal.
Okay,
so you can't do shit, but you can. You are aware while you're resting.
So those 2 options give you the flexibility of someone going to sleep first and then taking watch the rest of the time, right? Being an elf, only having to sleep for a few hours, right? So they can go to sleep for 4 hours and the rest of the night they're up, or vice versa. Wherever you need some extra watch, maybe you're in a dangerous place, you're worried about some bandits jumping your wagon, something like that, it would be really helpful for that. And for the warforged, they could just sit wherever they want to. They could look all around. They don't have to sleep, right? So I think one of those would be optimal. Of course, I think the elf does have dark vision, if I'm not mistaken. So that would cover your dark vision as well. I'm not sure about warforged. I always I imagine warforged have like these headlights, like their eyeballs just kind of shine out for a short distance.
You see, that would be sick. Now I'm imagining like a warforged artificer, where
yes.
I think even like with their first level feature, you can make something that like shines a light. So you could definitely do that. But warforged do not have dark vision by default.
Okay.
So I think if we really wanted to min-max the crap out of it, though, you do have the right idea. I would actually say everyone go elf in that case. So everyone gets trance, and then you finish your long rest in 4 hours, no matter what.
That's true.
But you wouldn't. So that's actually ideal.
But wouldn't you want some resistance on your team? I know we said we're gonna go deep. We're gonna deep dive. Maybe we'll take us into the post show. But I'm thinking I would also want someone to go Dragonborn for the purposes of getting some sort of resistance.
That's fair. No. Well, we'll have everyone go Shatter Kai, so you can do your little teleport and then get resistance to all damage.
Oh. No, I guess you're right. I guess there's a lot of options out there for races. I guess we could probably nitpick it some more. But I don't know if I would necessarily pick like a race to be like the ideal party, like unless I was specifically going for some sort of build. Like I'm just gonna pick whatever race I want to be, or what's the new one? The species they're calling it now, I think.
Yeah, I think it's species now.
Okay, gotcha. I still think they should do the ABCs, the ancestry, but whatever. I mean, no one said it, so I guess we'll just have to wait.
Your ancestry, your background, and your class.
It's perfect. It's perfect, Zach. You know it is.
That episode.
Oh,
I like it too. And maybe Wizards will hear you and they'll change it in the new PHP. We'll see.
Alrighty. Well, I guess that is the end of our episode, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. I've just gave my spiel on our Patreon and all of our social medias, so feel free to check that out. If you want to hear me spiel again, feel free to rewind about 10 minutes and enjoy that. I won't put you through it once more. I guess let's have someone take us out here. Let's go with Can I have the perfect party paladin take us out?
Woo! Yeah, that's right. It's me, baby. It's the perfect party paladin, and I'm here back again to take you all out. Yeah, that's fine. Everyone get into my aura. Yeah, it's awesome in here. Don't you feel so protected and also funky and fresh? I don't know what else to say, but everyone have an awesome rest of your day, and thank you so much for listening to Table Talk Friday.